In the city, and it's just wonderful to welcome the uh, light of learning about connection between God and politics. For me, this has become a fascinating topic, and I have a lot of education in political science, but that education was focused on past great philosophical writings and current atheistic politics. So I never really was taught how to think about politics like our great ancestors thought and were taught. And things are becoming more and more clear in my mind that this is vital education, that this comes with liberty that is divine miracle liberty. And we were not brought up to believe that and think about that, but it is very powerful. And I think that when we think about that dimension of politics, we open up our hearts to thoughts that come from God's kingdom, from kingdom of God. And that is universal. That can come to anyone on earth who is open to learn from God about it. So it's ultimate affirmation of an individual life. Because that kind of teaching comes to an individual first, and then the individuals get connected through God's presence in their lives, and then the high level dimension of this beautiful politics can be developed. So I think I'm on the pathway to great joy in politics. And we need it, because when you look around what is happening today, there's so much sadness, there's so much depression, and even now we have all of those wars. But this teaching about God's presence in politics brings hope that we can be taken out of the sorrows and traumas of current political situation, and the Lord can show us individually a much more beautiful way to live than we ever thought is possible. Today, let's continue the journey for search of politics in connection to God's light by reflecting on Psalm 71. Psalms are very powerful political writings, because they were written by God's king himself, King David, who had conversations with God. So what Psalms teach us that it's important to look forward to living in paradise and being with God, but God can be present for us here on earth too. So this is big revelation for me. And it opened a lot of doors in my thinking that would have been impossible if I thought God was not interested in our lives today. So I encourage you to search for it, all of you. There are no limits here. You're alive, you have a heart, the heart is made to search for God, you can search individually as you are for God's presence in your life. Let's see how the psalm begins. In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be put to confusion. Today we deal with a lot of trauma around issues of trust. Trust seems to be almost destroyed. People don't trust each other very much. Governments don't trust each other. There's constant need for surveillance, checking things, enforcing all kinds of rules and regulations, over rules and regulations, and rules and regulations. So there's this suspicion in our lives that seems to be developing like fire. It's not good. And here King David clearly states that he puts his trust in the Lord. So it's possible that the current situation of lack of trust in the world is because people don't know that their trust should be put in the Lord. So it's not that the Lord puts trust in us. We put our trust in the Lord and see what happens. So this is something that is very powerful for me, because I've had to deal with a lot of situations in which I was swindled of a lot of treasure, and all kinds of things happened. But I never knew that I should have put my trust in the Lord first, not in any other source that would create security, but in God's security first. So, what is the relationship between trust and security? With the right security, we develop trust that provides for us sense of security and safety. But if security is not well designed, then the trust never develops. It becomes ever-growing suspicion. And this is what we have today. Even in simple situations like diplomatic relationships that require a high degree of trust between nations, this trust was destroyed. There's only suspicion. In our daily relationships with each other, there's suspicion. The fights that involve presence of immigrants became a battle of suspicion and lack of trust. And we can go on and on and on. And this is a situation that will spiral into destruction if it's not healed by God. So what is the healing here? It's to put our trust in the Lord. In fact, I'm going to do it this moment. I just declared publicly that I'm putting my trust in the Lord. And we'll see what happens. And this is big for me, because I grew up in a situation in which we were taught that Lord is only present in churches and synagogues, and forget about his presence in any other place. like state security or police or military. So putting my trust in those matters of public security and safety in the Lord is transformational for me. I don't know how it will develop, but I trust the Lord that He will bring His presence to all the institutions of the public life that are essential for us, because we rely on public institutions to help us. So I'm putting my trust that the Lord will guide the military or the armed forces or the armed personnel, and that He will provide His direction and guidance, so that they in turn know that there are higher ways of relating to each other and to people than this constant suspicion. And then King David continues, "Let me never be put to confusion." So here's another important aspect of lack of trust in the Lord, that confusion can come to political guidance, and King David doesn't want to be in confusion. So what is the solution to confusion? Is putting his trust in the Lord. It's awesome that I'm saying those words, because I feel healing already in my spirit, that the solution to the current misfortunes is as simple as putting my trust in the Lord, and then encouraging you to put your trust in the Lord. Because this confusion that currently rules the world is not going to end well for anyone. And it seems that this confusion overpowered even the most beautiful institutions of the world. So we cannot really create peace out of confusions. We have to have peace that would come with the right security, and here King David is teaching it comes with putting our security, our trust in the Lord. So we have hope. "Deliver me in thy righteousness, and cause me to escape. Incline thy ear unto me and save me." So here's another powerful admission that King David, as a human being like you and me, that he understands that our righteousness is not the same as God's righteousness. And this is one of the key problems that we have in the world. People develop their own shapes of righteousness, make things up, and then they want to force them on other people. And they don't understand that those other people have also developed their own forms and shapes of righteousness, and they don't want to have anything to do with somebody who is putting their ideas of righteousness on them. So this is also one of the causes of current conflicts. It's that clash of righteousness that are not coming from the Lord. And here King David clearly states that there is divine righteousness, God's righteousness. This is something that is so powerful. I'd like to know the difference, and I'm asking the Lord to teach me the difference between His righteousness and my righteousness and other people's righteousness. This is something that I cannot make up myself, because it would just create ideas of righteousness coming from my own righteousness. And the same with you. If you have a sense of righteousness, if you don't get understanding from the Lord, it will just develop into different forms of the same thing. But then God also opens the door for escape. Many of us feel trapped in situations that seem to have all closed doors. There's no way to escape. But King David here clearly states that the escape can come from deliverance in the Lord's righteousness. This is so powerful because it affects our thinking about freedom. We were brought up to believe that it's our sense of rights and liberties that can create escapes. But King David here understands that escape can only come from being delivered by the Lord in the Lord's righteousness. So we can create our own righteousnesses, so to speak, our own shapes of righteousness, and be forever trapped in them. So one of the problems that we see in the world today is that inability for nations, governments, people to be delivered. And the reason is because they don't recognize God's presence as the way out of the difficult situations they are in. And I wonder why we have this situation today in the world that created this lack of contact between God and politics. This is something that I'll have to really think about. Part of the causality may be from the times of French Revolution that was very violent at the end of the 18th century, and it has never been healed. And then it was developed into this belief that God should not be present in any political thinking. There was a confusion between the understanding of divine kingdom and church. They are connected, but it's not the same thing. That they have a different purpose. The purpose of divine kingdoms is primarily to bring in peace, joy, happiness, and good life to people, and to secure and create houses and good conditions for families, to focus on safe development of generations, whereas the main purpose of churches is to bring people to salvation, to the other world. So there are two different ways in which God is present. And I think that revolution in France that started this motion of disconnection of politics from its own kingdom that they developed since Charlemagne over more than 1,000 years, that this is an error, a really bad error. Sometimes I would call it a nightmare that continues and is destroying a lot of people all over the world that could easily be rescued and saved. So I believe that it is very important for us to listen to God. And remember, all of you can ask Him to help you. There is no restriction. We have it in our nature, in our hearts, to search for God. Look at Job. He was heathen and he talked to God. It's easier if you are Jewish, it's easier when you are Christian, but it's open to everybody all over the world. And I think that this is what can bring in stability, peace, and trust in the whole world and in relationships between nations and people. When the trust is put in the Lord, and then the Lord brings in His presence of security, safety, and His righteousness. So I encourage you, as I encourage myself, to search for it. I'm learning new things. You can learn them too. I'm not an expert in those things, but I have an open a mind to learn from God and to experience this amazing shape of divine righteousness. I would like to know what it is. Of course, I know about 10 Commandments and all of that, but this is a dimension of divine right that is a shape of relationships between our understanding of what is good and what is evil that can only come from the Lord. And I think that one of the ways in which we can receive that knowledge is by asking God to incline His ear unto us and save us. So what we cannot take for granted is that God will hear us. We have to ask Him to incline His ear to hear us and save us. And I think that this is the hope for the current generations, that we can receive the understanding of divine righteousness and divine security by putting our trust in the Lord. Why don't we do it all over the world? There's nothing stopping me or you. It's just between you and God. You just ask the Lord to show you how to experience divine security in your own heart. But first you have to put that trust in the Lord. And what happens if we all do it? That would be really fascinating. I think that this would be a way of connecting current generations that would bring in world peace. Today, there is a horrible conflict going on in the Middle East. So, my encouragement to you involved in this situation is put your trust in the Lord. All of you, all the countries are involved in this. Put your trust in the Lord and ask Him to save you. This current conflict cannot be resolved by political means. Politicians involved in this conflict don't even talk to each other. Many of them hate each other because they live in their own trust that they put to themselves or to each other. But what if the same people put their trust in the Lord? Then He becomes the source for the sense of security and safety. And when this happens, dimensions of peace open up that we didn't even think were possible. So in closing, I am asking you to do that. Those who hear my message, those who are searching for peace, to experience trust that comes from the Lord and be guided by His righteousness, not by our ideas. Some of them are smart ideas, some of them are stupid ideas, but by divine righteousness. And I think that is the hope for the whole world. We have connections now through internet, so there's no excuse that no one heard about God. God is all over internet. And when directed in the way to understand divine power, is